Last week we looked at the worst entries of an otherwise amazing TV show, but this week we're going to look at the best entries. These episodes are truly the most wonderful episodes that truly show why Thomas and Friends is such a great show. So sit back and relax as we count down the top 10 best Thomas and Friends episodes. Number 10. Mike's Whistle. Yeah, I know, this is a CGI episode. But come on guys, even the CGI era are capable of some amazing episodes, and this episode is no exception. This episode gives us a faithful and sometimes even word-for-word adaptation of the story from Small Railway Engines. Not to mention it's the first one I saw and it's just amazing. It's amazing to think that the creators of the show would even consider adapting railway series stories. There is also the most crew interaction we've ever seen in the CGI series to date. And it's just so good. The dialogue between Mike and his driver is great. While the ending is a little bit odd and there's no way Thomas should be in this episode, it doesn't ruin the episode for me at all, and it doesn't stop Mike's Whistle from being a solid entry in the show. Number 9. Toad Stands By. This episode makes the list for the ending and the ending only. Good God. Scruffy learns the hard way that it is not a good idea to mess with Oliver the Great Western Engine, as Oliver proves this to him by, and I'm not kidding here, ripping him apart. Good Lord. Oliver is a badass, and they even play a really satisfying version of Oliver's theme as he does it. It's just so cool, and to make things even better, at the end of the episode, all of the trucks are terrified of Oliver, and so will never give him hell again. It's just so cool. All Oliver needs is sunglasses. I swear, that's all Oliver needs. Seriously, it's just so badass. It definitely makes Oliver one of my favourite characters. And Toad Stands By, one of my favourite episodes. Number 8. Troublesome Trucks. Troublesome Trucks gives us a great redemption story for James after the bootlace incident in James and the Coaches. He goes from that to beating the most troublesome trucks on the line. It's just such a good character arc, and definitely makes Troublesome Trucks a very good episode. It's just so satisfying to see James finally rise to the challenge. It's just such a good story. And it gives a satisfying ending as well, with the Fat Controller telling James that now he deserves to keep his coat. Troublesome Trucks is just a fun episode, and it's just a nice story for James to end off his character arc. Well, James and the Express technically ends off the character arc, but you know what I mean. It's just a fun episode with some interesting scenes and some nice insight into the character of our favourite red engine. Number 7. Pop Goes the Diesel. There are a number of reasons why this episode is so good. For starters, it introduces the character of Diesel, who is to this day a fan favourite, and I can see why. Dean in this episode is also great. His voice is just so slimy and I love it. His interactions with Duck are great as well. They can be really funny sometimes, particularly the line, "You're worthy, fat, Sir Topham Hatt to you," grumbled Duck. It's just spectacular. Seriously, some of their interactions are priceless, and I love how Duck just isn't taking any of his nonsense. I just love it. Not to mention the scene where Diesel arranges the trucks in the yard. That is hilarious. I love just how he loses patience and starts growling, and Duck finds it absolutely hilarious because he doesn't even like Diesel. And there's that bit afterwards when Duck completely takes advantage of Diesel's suffering in that moment and is just like, "Oh no, I don't want those trucks, you never asked me if I wanted them or not, so yeah, goodbye." It's just so funny. Not to mention the truck song at the end, I can always remember it. "Trucks are waiting in the yard, tackling them with easel. Show the world what I can do, gaily boasts the Diesel. In and out he creeps about, like a big black weasel. When he pulls the wrong trucks out, pop goes the Diesel." It's just such a memorable song in such a memorable episode. Number 6. Rusty and the Boulder. Haunted Henry can go away. This is the most terrifying episode of the show. The scenes with the boulder are just so eerie and uncomfortable and provide great build-up for when the boulder finally goes on its rampage of destruction. And when it does, it's horrifying. Though it is a little bit unrealistic, it's still quite scary to think that Rusty, Rheneas and Skarloey's lives are actually in danger. And when I was younger, this scene did scare me. We end the episode off with the first ever explosion in the show, and a damn cool explosion it is too, and a quiet, chilling piece of music. Seriously, the music played at the end is really rather uncomfortable, as is the final scene, with the boulder and its creepy face on a mountain staring down at Rusty. Also, Thumper was an intriguing idea for a character, and it is a shame that Britt Allcroft resigned after this season, because it would have been great to see him again and see him get the proper development he deserved. Overall, Rusty and the Boulder is a chilling yet amazing episode. Number 5. Henry gets the Express. Yep, I know. This is unbelievably high on the list for a CGI episode, but guys, this episode is just so good. It is definitely the best CGI episode ever, and possibly one of the best original stories that wasn't taken from an Audrey story. I love the idea of Henry pulling the Express again, as it's been ages since we've seen him do it. And it's just a great idea to have Henry once again prove Gordon wrong with how powerful he is with the Express. It just feels a lot like a classic series episode from as early as season 1. Not to mention, the theme that Henry has in the episode is amazing. It's just such a great episode and definitely deserves to be up there with one of the greats despite it being animated. To be honest, I would have felt like I was watching a classic series episode if it hadn't been for Porter's inclusion, because Porter is an animated character. Not to mention, some of the comedy with Gordon is amazing. It just feels so much like a classic series episode, this one. It's just wonderful. When I first heard about this episode, I was expecting something good. What I wasn't expecting was for this episode to completely blow me away. I was not expecting the episode to be that great. If I only had one gripe, it would be that we didn't get to see Gordon pull the Flying Kipper, and that would have been excellent. Not to mention, we can say bye-bye to Wimpy Henry and hello to Henry's old character in this episode. It's just great. Henry Gets the Express is definitely an amazing episode, and for such a recent episode, I think it deserves to be up there with some of the greats. Number 4. Bullseyes. Now, I know what a lot of you are thinking. You're thinking, wait, this episode? This high? Really? I mean, the plot is pretty basic. Daisy gets scared of a bull and so Toby takes it away. It's basic, but the reason why it's on the list is because this was my favourite episode when I was younger. It just has a lot of memories for me. I love the scene where Daisy gets out of the station with the theme playing. The theme is such a great version as well. It's just such a great version of Daisy's theme. Mike and Junior kill it in this episode. It's just great. Bullseyes is just a favourite when I was younger, and it just gives me memories. That's it. That's why this episode is so high on the list, because nostalgia. So I'll just leave it there. Number 3. The Flying Kipper. Yeah, you all saw this one coming. There are just so many reasons why this episode is so great. The Flying Kipper theme as Henry puffs through the night is grand. The crash is epic, and it just gives us such a satisfying end to Henry's character arc. To have him have just suffered through all of this but still try to prove himself to the Fat Controller, and then finally he gets his new shape and is finally able to function on the rails the proper way he's always wanted to be, and be this powerful engine that he always could have been. It's just so satisfying. Another reason why I love this episode so much is that I can really relate to it. Because Mum kindly blurted it out on a comment on one of my videos, I might as well tell you. I've had 2 transplants on my bowel. It's a pretty nasty procedure when they take out an organ and put in a different one. This is basically what happens to Henry. It's just so relatable, and why Henry is definitely my second favourite character. It's just such a great episode, The Flying Kipper. I can relate to it so much, which is definitely why it's this high on the list. Even if I couldn't relate to it, it would still be pretty high, but it's because I can relate to it so much that it's this high on the list. The Flying Kipper is definitely top 3 worthy. Definitely. There are so many reasons why it's such a fan favourite, and if you've watched it to death, go and watch it again. It's that worth it. We can all agree that this episode is a classic. Flying Kipper is 3 for Henry. Number 2. Grandpuff. This episode is another fan favourite that makes everybody's lists. The funny thing is, though, is that it always makes the list along with Sleeping Beauty, because they're basically the same story, right? Well, Yes, and Sleeping Beauty is a great episode, don't get me wrong, but Grandpuff is definitely superior in so many ways. Grandpuff is one of the best episodes of the show because just how adult it can be sometimes. Seriously, the story of Smudger is actually quite tragic when you think about it. He was a reckless kid, basically, and when there was too much of it, he was basically imprisoned and deprived of his freedom. It's a little bit adult. But what's even more adult is the end of the episode. The end of the episode is quite possibly the saddest scene in the show. Duke is just too old and so no one wants to buy him. And he's locked up in a shed for what we think is the rest of his life. And then trees and stuff start growing around him and he's buried and he holds on to his hope by going to sleep. It's just so sad, really. It's generally quite tragic and an adult theme. It's just quite a nasty way to end an episode, really. It's quite sad. It's just like, what? No, don't end it there. Don't end it there. I mean, okay, we do have a scene with Percy to remind us that this is still a happy show, as the scene with Percy is not quite as, well, tragic as that, but still, it's just like, wow, and it's possibly one of the biggest cliffhangers of the entire show. It's just wow. Grandpuff is definitely a classic and a really sad episode. And the number one best Thomas and Friends episode is Escape. What makes this episode the best? Well, a number of reasons, quite frankly. First off, it's really rather sad when we see Oliver broken down, waiting to be scrapped and having tried to escape from it. It's generally quite sad. And yet there's this really cool spirit of adventure when Douglas says, right, I'll help you escape, and they set off into the night with the Oliver's theme playing. It's just great. It's just so fun to watch this episode. And it's quite thrilling in some places. Like there's this scene where they're stopped by a foreman and it's quite intense as he checks Oliver over, and because Douglas is trying to make it seem like he's taking Oliver away for scrap, he's just like, all right, fine, off you go. It's just great and just so cool and fun to watch and thrilling. It's just an amazing episode, Escape, and definitely worthy of the number one spot. It is just perfect in so many ways. It's fun, it gives us development from Oliver, it introduces us to one of the show's best characters, it gives us great development from Douglas, who's another one of the show's best characters. There's a cool bit with Edward at the beginning, who's another one of the show's best characters. It's just great, and there's also that bit at the end where we're introduced to the little West, and this episode just does everything right, and is my opinion the best episode of Thomas and Friends ever. It's just great. I cannot sing this episode's praises enough. It's just amazing, and definitely the best episode of the best show. However, before I go, I'd like to give out some quick honourable mentions. Thomas Comes to Breakfast, Toad's Adventure, Gordon Takes a Tumble, The Rail Car and the Coaches, Love Me Tender, Cranky Bugs, Sleeping Beauty, Thomas and Gordon, the other two Arsdale episodes, and Percy and the oil painting. A controversial choice, but since I'm running out of time here, I'll explain why I like it so much in a separate video. In the meantime, this is William Milne saying goodbye and thank you for watching.